In a palace that echoes with centuries of grandeur and the weight of royal legacy, the life of a young princess unfolds not beneath a golden spotlight, but under an intensely guarded veil of discretion. For years, Spain's Princess Leonor has been the picture of polished perfection, the heir to the throne poised between tradition and modernity. But what few knew, until now, is that beneath the graceful posture, radiant smiles, and flawless public appearances lies a secret so intimate, so emotionally charged, that only Queen Letizia and her closest confidants dared to carry it in silence. This is not the tale of a fairy tale princess with a picture-perfect crown. This is the story of a young woman raised in the rarefied air of royalty, where every move is choreographed, every word measured, and every emotion, no matter how overwhelming, must be concealed behind duty. But even in the most fortified palace walls, truth finds its way to the surface. And now, for the first time, we peel back those layers, revealing a deeply moving secret that shaped Princess Leonor's path, altered her future, and redefined her relationship with the mother who knows her best, Queen Letizia. Born on October 31, 2005, into the House of Bourbon, Leonor was immediately thrust into a life most can scarcely imagine. Cameras flashed within hours of her birth, state documents recorded her name as the official heir, and from the moment she took her first breath, she became the future of Spain. But it wasn't just Spain that had expectations for her. It was a centuries-old monarchy, a nation recovering from dictatorship, and a world hungry for young royals to modernize tradition. Queen Letizia, herself no stranger to the burden of scrutiny, made a decision early in Leonor's life that would set the stage for her daughter's emotional complexity. Letizia knew from her own time as a journalist, and as a woman married into the monarchy, that public perception was as dangerous as it was powerful. And so she crafted for Leonor a world of polished appearances, rigorous education, fluent speech, and unwavering protocol. But hidden from the world was the emotional toll of that curated existence. Leonor, despite the sparkling tiaras and public praise, was quietly struggling with the knowledge that she could never be simply herself. The secret that only Letizia and a few trusted advisors knew was this: Leonor battled with immense pressure, not just from being a princess, but from a personal, internal crisis of identity. In private, she questioned her role, her desires, and whether the future laid out for her was truly one she could bear. As a child, Leonor exhibited an intelligence beyond her years, but also a quiet sensitivity that alarmed Letizia. In palace rooms closed off from the press, Leonor would often speak to her mother not about dresses or royal titles, but about duty, legacy, and the feeling of being watched. She would ask, "Mama, do I have to smile all the time?" Or, "What happens if I don't want to be queen someday?" These were questions that stunned even the most seasoned royal advisors. Letizia, fiercely protective of her daughters, chose not to dismiss those questions. Instead, she kept them hidden, shielded from the press, the palace staff, and even at times from King Felipe himself. The queen confided only in a small circle of friends from her pre-royal life, women who knew her before the diamonds and state dinners. They were her emotional lifeline, and she entrusted them with the truth about Leonor, that beneath the royal polish, her daughter was deeply anxious about the life chosen for her. It wasn't rebellion. It wasn't teenage angst. It was a serious, sustained emotional conflict. Leonor's secret was one of inner tension, of feeling imprisoned by a crown she had not asked for, of wondering whether she could ever truly live as herself. At boarding school in Wales, where she attended the prestigious UWC Atlantic College, Leonor experienced a brief taste of normalcy. But even there, under the guise of freedom, palace security hovered. She couldn't walk to town without being followed. She couldn't share her true name with classmates without risking scandal. Letizia monitored her daughter's emotional state from afar. The queen arranged for discreet psychological support and instructed staff never to mention anything that might remind Leonor of her future title. But the crown loomed in every corner. When Leonor was told she would soon be attending military academy, the same training King Felipe underwent, it broke her heart. She didn't cry, she didn't scream, but Letizia saw the pain in her eyes, that silent, dignified ache of a girl caught between obligation and desire. There were discussions in hushed tones. Letizia spoke with royal aides and privately asked whether it would be possible for Leonor to have a reduced role, something more symbolic, less demanding. But tradition pushed back. The constitution was clear, the line of succession immovable. The people loved Leonor. The monarchy's survival was now bound to her face, her future, her promise. So, Letizia did the only thing she could. She prepared her daughter to carry a burden she knew would never be light. But she did so while quietly preserving Leonor's truth, shielding her from media intrusion, crafting narratives that projected strength while privately nurturing her child's vulnerability. It was an act of silent rebellion, of maternal love under the weight of a 1,000-year-old crown. The real turning point came during Leonor's speech on her 18th birthday. The world applauded her confidence, her grace, her fluency in Spanish, Catalan, English, and Arabic. But only Letizia knew how many drafts it took, how many sleepless nights Leonor endured to find the words that balanced who she was with who she was expected to be. In that moment, Leonor wasn't just speaking to Spain. She was speaking to herself, declaring, quietly but powerfully, that she would try. That she would wear the crown, even if it crushed her spirit, because she loved her country, loved her family, and loved the woman who stood behind her through every shadow. That secret, Leonor's inner war between destiny and desire, remained carefully hidden, known only to Letizia and her loyal circle. Even now, palace insiders whisper about the queen's quiet protectiveness, her late-night walks with Leonor in palace gardens where words of comfort were exchanged in hushed tones. Some say it was during one of those walks that Leonor finally said, "I will do it, Mama. For you, for Spain, but I need to do it my way." Since that moment, the public has seen a subtle shift in Leonor. Her military training began not with fear, but with resolve. She now walks with the bearing of someone who has made peace with a path she did not choose, but is learning to own. Letizia continues to guard her closely, not as a queen watching an heir, but as a mother watching her child grow stronger, day by day, secret by secret. This story, long buried beneath the glittering facade of royalty, reminds us that even in the most elevated circles, human truth remains. Princess Leonor is not simply a future monarch. She is a young woman, caught in a storm of tradition, expectation, and personal truth. And her story is not over. In fact, it's only just beginning. As Spain watches her rise, as Europe places its hopes on her shoulders, and as Queen Letizia silently supports her from behind the scenes, the question remains, will Princess Leonor be the queen that history expects, or the woman her heart calls her to be? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more emotional, royal stories from behind the palace walls. What do you think? Will Leonor follow her destiny, or rewrite it in her own way?